Have you heard about containers? If you are familiar with what are containers, then you need to definitely know what is Kubernetes. Let's see what is Kubernetes and how does it play with containers. Let's get started. Press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss any update from Tech Primus. Let's see the agenda for this particular session. We are going to see what is containers. This will be a brief introduction about the containers. If you want to see in detail about containers, I have made a video already about the containers. You can check that out. But we will cover what is containers because that is the basis for the Kubernetes. Then we will be seeing why do we need orchestration in the containers. Then we will be seeing what is Kubernetes, and finally how powerful Kubernetes is. So what are containers? Containers are basically a lightweight component or a lightweight image which are standalone executable packages which you can run inside a sandbox environment. It is platform agnostic and it can isolate software from the surroundings. A typical example of a real world containerization is shipment, where you want to ship your products from one place to another. However, you don't want to get it damaged. That is why we containerize it, right? Similar to that, we containerize our application when we are doing the deployment. Along with other deployments, our deployment shouldn't get messed up. That is why we have separate containers to safeguard our application. Why do we need orchestration? The containers are already separate. Why do we need an orchestration still? This is a typical architecture of a container. So we have a hardware or a server, then we have the host OS, and then we have a containerized engine. I'm just showing the Docker engine. So this is a typical Docker architecture where you have a Docker engine running over the OS, and then over that you have the different Docker containers. Inside the Docker containers, you have applications. If you have a single server, this is how an architecture looks like. Let's say you have more servers. You keep on adding more and more servers. What happens to your containers, right? So if you notice here, we already have 9 containers, and if these keeps on increasing, right, we are not able to manage the containers. We will have to have the configurations to deploy to different nodes. And how do we know what is deployed to which machine and which application is running in which server? That is when we will be getting the help from Kubernetes. So what is Kubernetes? Kubernetes is nothing but a container orchestration platform. It is an open source platform which was created by Google in 2014, and they have now contributed that to the Cloud Native Computing Foundation, which is managing Kubernetes currently. Why everyone is talking about Kubernetes? Because it is very flexible, and we will be seeing the features in the next slide. However, how Kubernetes works is it can group containers that create a single application, and it splits into logical units for easy management and discovery. That is how Kubernetes identifies how many nodes are there. So Kubernetes has this concept of pods. Pods are nothing but nodes, which are nothing but servers where different containers can be deployed. In a pod, you can have a single container or a multiple container. So how powerful is Kubernetes is? I have mentioned this K8s, right? What is this K8s? In the olden days, they used to have an abbreviation pattern where they take the first letter, they take the last letter, and they mention the number of characters between the first and the last letter in between. That is what K8s means. So let's see what are the features of Kubernetes. The first one is horizontal scaling. It can scale horizontally. Let's say you have deployed a pod or different containers. Your containers can be scaled when you have it configured automatically. The next one is self-healing, which is what I completely liked about Kubernetes. It restarts the containers whenever it fails, and it replaces and reschedules these containers whenever a node dies. It automatically kills these old containers which do not respond to the user queries, so they will be immediately removed out of your network. These are done based on the health checks which Kubernetes does internally. The next one is the load balancing and the service discovery. There is no need for us to modify our application code in order to make us familiar with the different service discovery mechanisms. Kubernetes gives containers their own IP addresses and a single DNS name for a set of containers, and they can do load balancing across them. Similar to other platform as a services or any other deployment platform or the cloud platform, Kubernetes can also do the load balancing and the service discovery stuff. The next one is the automated rollouts and the rollbacks. Kubernetes progressively rolls out the changes to your application and also its configuration while monitoring the application health, and it makes sure that it doesn't kill all your application instances at the same time. So if let's say you have 4 different scaled up applications, so you have 4 instances of the same application running, Kubernetes releases these deployments one by one and makes sure that your health of application is maintained, and that's how it rolls out. If there is a problem, Kubernetes will roll back the change automatically for you. The next one is the storage orchestration. Kubernetes can automatically mount the storage system based on your choice, whether it could be a local system or it could be a public cloud storage provider like AWS or Google Cloud Platform or any other network system such as NFS or cluster. The next one is the batch execution. In addition to other services which Kubernetes provides, Kubernetes can also manage your batch and also the continuous integration workloads. It can replace the containers whenever it fails, which helps us in having these batch execution seamless. The final one is the configuration management. Kubernetes has the flexibility which provides deploy and update secrets and the application configurations without even rebuilding your image and without even exposing the secret data from your configuration stack. So you don't have to redeploy your application when you have to change any configuration in your Kubernetes image. So you don't have to rebuild your image. You can have a configuration outside the image which will be inside the Kubernetes platform, and you can change that whenever you want, and you can redeploy that particular image in a different container. So these are the different features of Kubernetes. I hope you guys understood what is Kubernetes. Let's see what is the summary which we saw. We saw what are containers. We saw why do we need the orchestration, and also we saw what is Kubernetes. We also saw how powerful Kubernetes is with its features. So these are the basics of Kubernetes. I hope you guys understood what are the basics of Kubernetes. This is not an in-depth video. I hope you liked the video. If you liked the video, go ahead and like it. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to it. Meet you again in the next video. Thank you very much.